Hi, Matthew, and thanks for having me on. My name is Dave Christie, CEO of Orford Mining. Orford is a well-financed exploration company focused on Canada and in particular Quebec on high-grade nickel and gold projects. We have 3 drill programs planned for 2022 with greater than $9 million to be spent, including our partners' expenditures on our nickel project. So it's a big year for us, very large property positions with over 1,400 square kilometers in 6 different properties.
Brilliant, Dave. Good to see you. We saw you last May. It's been a long time, far too long. We need to see more of you. Really quite liked the story then, but like I say, we haven't caught up, so it might be worth kind of going over a little bit of the history, if you don't mind. Let's start with you. Remind people who you are, what relevant experience you've got for what you're doing today.
Sure. So I'm a geologist. Spent a large number of years as a field geologist, an exploration geologist. I even did a bit of mine geology. After that, I was an equity analyst with some of the big banks in Canada for 12, 13 years. And I followed that up. I managed money with the Dundee Group. And that's actually where the Orford Mining sort of started. We invested into a little company called True North Nickel, which was a private company because they were looking for nickel in the northern part of Quebec, which we quite liked. We ended up making a gold discovery there, and we decided to take the company public. And here we are a few years later, actually just about 4 years since that happened. And so that's sort of my history. I was CEO of another company called Eagle Hill. It is the foundation of what is today's Osisko Mining. We did a 4-way merger to create Osisko Mining, and it's the asset that was in Eagle Hill that is the key asset of Osisko Mining. So I've been involved in some good names before. And we really believe we have some special properties here at Orford.
Right, and then who else is ably supporting you? Not the nameplate guys, but the guys actually doing stuff on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so Michelle Sciorentino is my VP of Exploration. She's excellent, and she sort of runs our geological thinking and where we're going with our projects, along with Alger St. John. He's our our chief geoscientist. So those 2 people are key in our project, but we have a number of consultants and contractors that work with us all year long. We just hired a new young geologist, Jake Burden. So a large number of people to work with us. It takes a village to make this thing happen.
Okay. I want to kind of sort of lay out all the pieces on the table for people new to this story so they just understand what's going on, because otherwise it could look like it's a lot of moving parts for a small company. So let's deal with the Wyloo Metals farm in on the nickel side. So how have you set that up? So
in 2020, we started talking to Wyloo Metals. So actually, we talked to a large number of people. We were looking to get someone to farm into our nickel project, because at the time nickel was $4.55 a pound, and so it was a bit of a tough struggle at the time for us to raise money for that project. Plus, we thought we should share the risk. It's a remote project, and we were already operating a remote Qiqavik gold project. So we started looking at a number of groups. Wyloo Metals seemed to be interested, so we talked to them for a long time. And in January of 2021, we signed a deal with them where they get to earn in up to 80% by spending $25 million. It was about the same time that they actually made their investment into Noront. So it was their big push to invest in gold projects internationally, or not gold projects, nickel projects. And the West Raglan project we have, just as a reminder, 707 square kilometers of land. We've made about 7 or 8 discoveries already at surface there and in drilling. It was originally an Anglo-American project, so they had made some discoveries there. Very high grade nickel, copper, PGM, so 3% nickel, 1% copper, and 3 to 4 grams per ton of platinum palladium. So this is a very high grade asset. Very similar grade in metallurgy and geology to what they have at the Raglan mine, which is just 90 kilometers to the east of us. And that's one of the lowest cash cost producers in the world, if not the lowest cash cost producer. I would hazard to think right now they're probably producing at negative cash costs. So we're in the right place. We have a property that's very large and has lots of targets. So that's where we are with Wyloo. And they've just decided to spend $5 million this year on the project. They spent about 1.9 last year on the project. So they're moving along quite fast here as we spend, and so we're operating.
So right, you're the operator and you get a management fee for that. And what are you talking about? 2,500, 3,000 meters, I read somewhere.
Yeah, 3,000 meters of drilling we'll do this year with a borehole EM, and we'll do some geological mapping and geochemical sampling as well in the southern, underexplored areas of the property.
Right. As you mentioned, super high grades, fantastic. But the problem is people don't know how to value it, right? Because Wyloo Metals, private company, Aussies, we obviously, the closest we can get to understanding what they're trying to do is obviously what happened at Noront, the kind of bun fight with BHP, big number at the end of it, which is great. But how do we, looking in here, get a sense of what this thing is worth, could be worth, where we should look for comps? I mean, how do you value it actually?
Well, that's a tough question to answer because, as an analyst, and I think you're an ex-analyst as well, it's tough to value things until they have a resource, right? So we've made discoveries. We probably could calculate a resource on the frontier zone, and if you know the Raglan deposit, it's a series of many pods of mineralization. It's not one big pod, and none of them are very big. So we have discovered a number of pods of mineralization. We need more pods to make a deposit here. We think it's quite possible that we can get there. This year, we did an EM survey. Actually, in 2021, we did a squid EM survey to help identify sulfide in the ground. And we have a number of targets across the property. There was 435 EM responses in the 67 line kilometers of EM that we did, and 72 of those are high priority. We'll probably drill 10 to 15 of those this year. So we're just sort of scratching the surface on the best anomalies. So I think you're going to find that we will make some discoveries this year, in my view, as we drill these really high priority sulfide targets. They're very similar to what we've seen before. This method of EM is what they used at Raglan, helped increase their discovery rate by 58%. So it's a method that really works as far as differentiating the formational type conductors from the sulfide conductors we want to see here. So I think the drill bit's going to be how we value the property. So as we make more discoveries, that's how you're going to value the property. So when we start putting out high grade numbers from new drill holes with that are similar to what we've already found, like the frontier zone already has 3.2% nickel and over 1% copper and 3 grams per ton PGEs, and it's quite a large zone. I think it's got 2,500 meter strike length. We're going to discover more of those in the coming year. And I think that's how people are going to have to value it. They're going to see those drill hole results, and we'll move from there.
Right. And because we're talking about pods, we're talking about lenses, and I'm just trying to think, is there anything comparable to that we could look to for clues in terms of what the actual, how these things are mined, and that gives a sense of what the future economics could be?
Well, I think the Raglan mine is the perfect analogy because it's both underground and open pit, and it's a series of them that go along. And I think they have one larger pod, but most of them are pretty equal size. So I think that's the best analogy. But it's Cambalda style mineralization, so it's very lensy, and it's at Raglan their mineralization is over 23 kilometer strike length. So that's their pods sort of sit over that kind of strike length, and that's what they mine. And it's one of the best cash cost producers in the world. So a very world-class asset. So that's the best analogy. There's not a lot of nickel sulfides projects in the world that can beat it. Okay,
so talk to me about timing on this one, because again, I don't think you're getting the value for it because no one understands it or knows how to value it. Circa 25 million market cap today. You've kind of broadly moved sideways this year, so I think it's fair to say you're not getting value for that. So talk to me about the timing and what you think those deliverables, what the deliverables will be that will increase the kind of certainty around the economics for anyone trying to work out the value.
Well, I think with 3,000 meters of drilling, this project hasn't been drilled since for like 6-7 years. So that's the something right there. Last summer was the first program on this project since 2016. So I think us moving into this project and doing work on it for the first time in a long time is one thing right there. But we will be drilling a lot of holes there this year. And I think drilling these high priority targets that came out of the EM. So when we move in there at the end of June, we will be drilling from day one right till the beginning of September. And as we move along in that drilling, we'll be press releasing things that we see that are market importance. And so I think as we move through the project, we'll put another update out before we start the project, just to update people on what we're doing. But it's pretty straightforward. We're going to go out and drill these 10 to 15 of the top targets. And there was 72 high priority targets. We're drilling what we think are the top 15.
Okay, and that's 5 million this year, so 25 million earning over 7 years from memory, right?
Yeah.
So 5 million this year. That should open things up a bit, or not. Well, again, what are the just remind me of the terms in terms of, if this doesn't deliver the scale that
Well, it's a staged earn-in, right?
Yeah. So what's that look like?
Yeah. So the first 51% is $6 million. So they're going to get there this year probably with the spending we're doing. And then every 5-10% after that, there's another option to earn into the next point. If they want to get to 80, Wyloo has to spend the $25 million, has to complete a feasibility study. So we're carried through to the end of the feasibility study, and they have to make a cash payment to Orford. And then at that point in time, the JV is formed, and we contribute 2080. And, when I look at it, if this is an economic project, West Raglan, a nickel project of this size and caliber will be a plus $1 billion project. So that's well over a $200 million value to Orford if we get to that point.
Right. Okay. Let's park that up, okay? Because that's moving along at a beat. It's a nice budget allocated this year. You're indicating $4 million worth of drilling from you guys on your projects. Is Qiqavik the focus, or are you allocating money to some of the other slightly earlier stage gold projects too?
Well, I think our most advanced gold project is actually the Joutel Eagle project, which we're drilling right now. We picked that up at the end of November from Globex International. It's a project that sits in the Joutel mining camp. This is where Qiqavik Eagle got its gold mining start at the Tellbell Eagle mine. We sit right next door to the Maple Gold Qiqavik Eagle JV. We're right on strike to the Eagle Tellbell mine that was operated till 1993. This area has seen very little exploration since that mine closed in 93. The property we picked up has seen almost no exploration since that point. There's a zone on the project called the South Gold Zone. That's where we're drilling right now. It's a 5 to 7 gram per ton vein system with sulfides that sits right on the same trend as the Eagle Tellbell. So we're drilling that now to sort of confirm the mineralization and see if we can fill it in a bit and extend it to depth.
Right, and just sorry, that's great. With regards to that, so just coming back to the budget side of things, how much are you spending on that?
It'll be it's about $600,000, $500,000 and $600,000 on the project itself. There's payments we have to make to those guys, but otherwise that's about the exploration expenditure.
And what's that look like in terms of meters drilled?
That's like 1,500 meters. It's a first pass drilling effort. So we're drilling that right now. It was actually very difficult to get a drill this year to get it in there. It's drilling companies are very, very busy. Assay labs are very, very busy. We just actually put out our results at Qiqavik and West Raglan not long ago because assay labs took so long. And we're still waiting on till sampling results, which, we took the till samples last summer and we're still waiting. So
God, that must have been a frustrating year for, the smaller companies, because I guess the bigger guys will pay more money and jump to the front of the queue because they're...
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So it's difficult.
And what about people? Was that hard, finding people?
People was hard last summer, actually, but we managed to get the people we needed. And that's one of the reasons we hired another full-time person this year, just to sort of beef up our own staff and stop relying on contractors for the summer as much. So, and we'll probably continue to do that moving forward. Right.
Okay. So intrigued as to how you guys managed to operate in an environment like that where costs are going up across the board. Does that dramatically change your decision making, or is it just a case of you just do a little bit less?
Yeah, well, we end up doing less meterage in a way because fuel prices are up like 70%. So if you look at diesel prices or jet B prices, for the helicopters and stuff, those prices are huge. And that's a huge part of what we consume on Qiqavik, West Raglan. So basically, those prices rising, reduces the number of meters we get to drill. But that's the way she goes. but luckily we have a group like Wyloo, and they want to do what they want to do, so we get to get done as much as we possibly can during this summer. And I would say it actually hasn't affected either project because we can only drill so much on those projects in one summer anyway. So both projects are, Qiqavik, we're going to drill 3,000 meters. We're going to drill 3,000 meters on West Raglan. We're drilling 1,500 on the Joutel Eagle project. So that's 3 projects with 7,500 meters of drilling. That's the biggest drilling year Orford's ever had. So.
Yeah, there is that. With the money that you raised, it was about 4.4 million, I think, in December. Where did that come from? Is it?
There was some flow through money in there and some hard dollars raised. Of course, our main strategic investor, Alamos Gold, was pro rata for that financing. They were also there. We did a financing in late August, September for 1.92. Between the two financings, we're fully financed for the year. And of course, with Wyloo's investment into the West Raglan project. Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, you ex-analyst as well, working in finance sector. I mean, what's your take on this year, the sort of macro for gold? Because obviously the juniors are the kind of last recipients of any benefits the market may give. Producers any of the mid tiers, the big boys, are making hay at the moment, and that eventually cascades down. But what's your take on where the gold price is going to go over, and when do the equities start to move? Because it seems very disconnected at the moment.
Yeah, I think we need to see a sustained rally and not this seesaw back and forth. It needs to pop above $2,000 and then continue. If it goes up and then comes right back down again, like it has been, it's not great for juniors because they're the ones that, never get the confidence. So we need to see it have sustained rally above 2,000. I think we will get there. I don't think, no matter what the Fed does in the States, I don't think they're going to get inflation under control. Inflation is running rampant, and so gold is a great way to hedge against that inflation. And then there's, of course, all the uncertainties in the world as well. And so gold, again, is a great hedge on that uncertainty. So I think, I think you do, that gold is going to have a good year. There will be some volatility, but I think once we see a sustained rally where it moves, on a more upward trajectory without having big pullbacks, then I think we should see the juniors kick in. And I think the senior companies out there, they need to find new reserves and new gold deposits. And that's why we have Alamos invested into us. It's because all these guys know how hard it is to find a new gold reserve, a new gold deposit. So in investing in juniors that actually go out there and do grassroots exploration and make discoveries is probably the only way these senior companies are going to find new reserves.
And so how far do you take this? How far do you take your gold projects? Because obviously seeing what you've done with nickel, and maybe that's the smart move in what was a difficult nickel market, but has been exceptional since you did the deal in terms of the nickel price and nickel equities moving. How do you play the gold parts of your portfolio? Because obviously you've got stuff that you're focused on. How far do you want to take those? What do you do with some of the projects which you're not really allocating capital and time to at the moment? How do you think about those? Yeah,
so I think we assess all our projects continuously. So, if a project doesn't fit the company, whether we don't think there's going to be a gold deposit big enough for Orford there, or it's just not, the exploration model's not working, then we'll look to find a partner for those projects. West Raglan, our nickel project, was a special case because we consider ourselves a gold explorer. Nickel was not in a great situation in 2000 and 2021. So finding a partner for that project really made sense for us as far as sharing the risk, because we really believe in that project. So I think that made a lot of sense. But for the gold projects, we're really still believing in what we're doing there. We think Qiqavik will have a big discovery. We've got high grade gold across that project. We find samples at surface and 90 grams, 648 grams. Like, this project has gold endowment, and we are the first explorers on this project, and only probably 29 weeks on the ground to date, and no one was there before us. So this is a very early days project. So we're nowhere near ready to bring a partner in there, and so we have lots of work to do on that project, and we think the discovery is coming. On the projects in the Joutel area, they're not dissimilar to the Qiqavik project in that they are very underexplored. No one's really touched the ground in 40 years. So it's an area that needs some exploration attention, and that's what we're doing there. We're putting modern exploration technology. We've just finished compiling all the old paper files into a digital database, and we're drilling on that interpretation.
So if I look back to the conversation we had last May, right? I really like the team. I like the assets. I like the model, but it hasn't moved. It didn't move. So for the last 9 months, nothing's moved. What's different this year? What's going to be different this year from, say, the last 12 months? What's changed?
Well, I think two big things that are changing. First of all, we're drilling right now on the Joutel Eagle project, and I think we're going to see some good results there. We're drilling a known gold zone. We're trying to see if we can infill it, and we won't get to a resource there this year, but if we're successful confirming that mineralization, we'll get to a resource there in 1 or 2 years. So that's a key thing. And the other thing is we're going to be drilling on the West Raglan project, nickel sulfides. There's not many of these kind of projects around. If you look at all the juniors out there that are talking about doing nickel exploration now, most of them, no offense, but they're mostly just grassroots, moose pasture at this point in time with a theory. Whereas we have nickel on the ground, we have nickel in drill holes, and we're continuing to look for more of it. And so the Raglan model holds true on our project. We've discovered nickel pods, and we'll discover more, in my belief.